Good evening, everyone. So
Oh, wait.
glad everyone could make it tonight. This is our third and final installment of the Commander-in-Chief Trophy Series featuring the Army-Navy game that's going to be held this weekend. I'm sure everybody knows, Saturday, 1 p.m. MetLife Stadium. And to me, this is like the Super Bowl for all of us. Like this is one of the greatest games, and we leading up to today, we had featured Army versus Air Force, Air Force versus Navy, and now Army versus Navy. And with us tonight, we have two captains from the 1988 teams of both Army and Navy, and representing the U.S. Army at West Point is Troy Lingley, who played linebacker and was a co-captain in 1988 and led the team in tackles in 1987 and 1988. Graduated in 1989, and then Troy served in Operations Desert Storm and Shield with the 3rd Armored Division as a battery fire direction officer. After leaving the Army, he became a financial advisor with Edward Jones. He served clients in central Indiana for 25 years, positively impacting hundreds of families, helping them attain their goals. He also served as a regional leader with Edward Jones for 6 years. He helped recruit dozens of financial advisors and coached them to achieving their objectives. As a general partner and registered principal with Edward Jones, he saw the firm grow from less than 2,000 financial advisors early on to nearly 19,000. His last responsibility was leading and coaching a group of leaders from 13 Western states, encompassing over 1,600 financial advisors, accounting for over 170 billion in assets and close to 1 billion in revenue. So, Troy, so glad you're here. Just say hi to everybody.
Hi, humbled to be here. Thanks so much, Harrison.
So pumped to have you. And with us representing the U.S. Naval Academy is Mark Pimpo. So Mark went to the Naval Academy Prep School in 1984, 1985, and rose to defensive captain there and was the team MVP. And then from 1985 through 89, he played on the Navy Academy football team, rose to defensive captain again, was a 2-time AP All East honorable mention, and 3-time ECAC Defensive Player of the Week. So after graduating, Mark currently serves as Senior Operations Lead for Chick-fil-A Incorporated in Atlanta, Georgia, responsible for the strategic growth and operational performance of the Columbia and Charleston, South Carolina markets. Prior to joining the Chick-fil-A team, he worked for Under Armour in Baltimore, Maryland, where he was the Global Supply Chain Chief of Staff and Program Lead Senior Director for Sourcing Connected Fitness Products. Mark is a native of Strongsville, Ohio, and served over 26 years in the United States Navy. He retired as commanding officer, Navy Supply Corps School in Newport, Rhode Island. His sea duty tours include Assistant Supply Officer, USS Valley Forge, Supply Officer, USS Maryland, and Officer in Charge, USNS Sacagawea, TAKE-2. His shore assignments include Military Deputy, J4, United States Special Operations Command, Director, Weapon Systems Support Branch, Naval Inventory Control Point, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Submarine Squadron 16 Supply Officer. Mark attended the Naval Academy Prep School in Newport, before eventually having this illustrious career with the U.S. Naval Academy. So what makes me so proud to have Troy and Mark here to go down memory lane and really show us the lineage of really what Army-Navy football is all about. Both these folks are linebackers. And if anybody watched the NFL game last night, I think that Bills-Patriots game was a perfect preempt or foreshadowing about what we're going to see on Saturday. Smash mouth football, and nothing is better than the Army versus Navy game. So to get this thing started here, I'm going to come out by humbling Troy Lingley and showing a couple of his highlight films or highlight plays from college. So let me share my screen and I'll show you what you saw last night. If you're watching the NFL, happened in 1988. We're going to check it out right here. Okay, and hey, Mark, Troy, real quick, can you just give me a thumbs up if you can see the film? Got it?
You got it.
Perfect. All right. So Troy's wearing number 45 here. I want to move this bar. Going sideline to sideline, smacking it. All right, let's go back. Right here. Right there, sifting it out. Boom. And what's so cool is you're starting to see this play become very popular in the NFL again. This is what they call this pin and pull concept for the sweep. And Troy, you do a great job coming flat down the line, finding your gap, and laying a tremendous hit. Now, let's just talk about this game, for instance. For you guys that don't know, this is the Sun Bowl in 1988. Troy is playing University of Alabama. Okay, on this team was some guy you might have heard of named Derek Thomas. And Troy, real quick, talk to us. What was it like just being in this game with one of the premier teams in the NFL in such a huge stage?
We didn't think we weren't happy to be there. We were there to win it. I don't know how seriously they took us. I shared a story the other day that being fortunate enough to be a captain, I sat at a captain's table all week during the bowl week. They have dinners almost every night, and I was sitting next to Derek Thomas. And by the end of the week, I told him, I said, Derek, I can tell you have no idea, what all of us are going to be, all of us that are graduating. This is our last game. What we're going to be doing a year from now. Because I have no idea. I said, well, a year from now, you're going to be a millionaire in the NFL, and I'm going to be freezing my ass off in Germany, going through field exercises. And so we were there to lay it all on the line, because for all the seniors, this is the last time we were ever going to play football again. And so we were hanging it all out there.
And that's evident when we go back to that film. We really get to see your spirit and your fight going sideline to sideline and really going downhill and laying licks on folks. And it's so cool to see some of these celebrities that have made it to the NFL, and then you just tagging them. And I love that story. Like, those guys have no idea.
Well, if you want to run that back one more time, I was able to make that hit because we had Josh Haynes, who is the D tackle in front of me that was keeping me clean. And Chuck Schretzman was an outside linebacker there at the top of the screen, and he was stretching it out, setting the edge. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to make that play. And while I'm talking about Chuck, I've got my Team Schretzman T-shirt on here tonight.
Here, let me stop.
He's my brother. And I went, some of you guys know Chuck. Those of you who don't know him, say a prayer for him. He's battling ALS, and he's in a battle, but he's kicking his tail. So, Team Schretzman, man.
That's awesome. Troy, can you just move your camera? We want to see that whole front of the whole thing of. That's awesome. Unbelievable. And this is one of the reasons why I love the Commander-in-Chief Trophy games. Is it's about fighting for your brothers in arms. And my favorite part of this Army-Navy game coming up, because I'm Swiss, I'm neutral, I don't pick sides. It's just to see you guys all arm in arm afterwards, saluting the national anthem and then fighting for our country. And I think that spirit is why you can take it to teams like Alabama and whoop their ass, because the love that you have for each other and the fight, it's unprecedented. And I think the academies really embody that. So thanks for sharing that, Troy. I'm going to share a similar video here of Mark Pimpo doing the exact same thing. So you're going to see Mark as an inside linebacker as well, lighting it up. And Mark, right now, give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen, the share going properly. Yep. Awesome. So this game is versus Pitt, okay? And what's so cool about this game, back to smash mouth football, this fullback right here, or the running back here in this game, is Ironhead Hayward from Passaic, New Jersey. Now, I'm from New Jersey. I went to Fairlawn High School, and Ironhead is a god in New Jersey. before they call him Ironhead because the rumor is he got hit in the head with a tire iron and it didn't do anything. I don't know if that's real, but I do know this. This guy brought the lumber. He was Ironhead Hayward was what 5'11", 268. Mark, was that right? He wasn't very
5'11",
tall.
265. That's right. I would probably believe that story. I think, Harrison, after encountering Ironhead a few times, is actually a pretty interesting story. My Chris Tranquil, who was Gary Tranquil, who was our head coach. I'll tell it after. Go ahead, run the.
No,
play.
keep talking. I'm just going to play this as background here while you keep talking.
Yeah, well, so the week of the Pitt game, Chris is sitting next to me in physics class, and I see him doodling around and drawing it, and he ends up drawing this F equals MA. I don't know if I can put it in my camera here so everyone can see it. So here's what he draws: F equals MA. He's got Craig Hayward, 5'11", 265, and Mark Pimpo, 6 foot, 218, with F equals MA, and just with a big question mark. So.
It's messed up you with a little arrow.
What's that? I was the little arrow at the time, Harrison, right? At the time.
Well, I'll tell you, I get to watch this whole game. So yes, it's true. I am picking out highlights, but you were taking it to him. And again, it goes back to showing the heart and the tenacity and the perseverance to bring it to him. It's like, you're clearly not affected, and you represent that there are anomalies to physics, and we're going to start to show it. Yeah, it's true. Because as we start to go through this, Mark, you're bringing it. And also, I want everyone to realize too, the other running back in the game is Louis Riddick. Louis Riddick, the ESPN, analyst, the guy that was just, calling the game on Monday night. That was Louis Riddick. So let's go back to watching that film here of Troy. Okay. I mean, and this is smash mouth football. It was a lost art. The Patriots and the Bills brought it back a little bit last night. Boom. I mean, whatever it takes. Mark's wearing number 37.
I'm not seeing the video on that, Harrison.
You're not seeing it? Okay.
No.
I'm sorry. Let me go back. Good. Stop share. Share screen. Mark. Boom. How about now?
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There it is. 37.
Yeah.
The big 1980s neck roll.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Your quarterback was wearing the neck roll.
Right.
That's how you know different. I love watching. So I'm so psyched to see Danny Hughes in attendance, and you got your kids with you watching, and they probably never even seen a neck roll before. That's what tough guys did. When you grow up playing football and you ask your dad what position you play, you just go over with the guys wearing the neck rolls.
Yeah. Which is always very special about this game. Alton Grizzard did wear a neck roll, Harrison, and we do honor him and all of our fallen brothers during this game. So.
Yeah. That's Louis Riddick right there, number 5.
Nice pursuit.
Unfortunately, I had some help on getting Louis.
Yeah, and you know what? So here, as we start to go and continue to watch this, Mark, this is a goal line stand. This is towards the end of the game here, and Pitt's driving, and you can see where they are. It's now 2nd and goal. Look at this. This is Ironhead Hayward going over the top, face to face with Mark Pimpo, and that's how you can know that force equals MA isn't entirely correct.
That was great. Great help from the defensive line, submarining, and I think my head still hurts from that, Harrison. I think I'm still taking some Advil from that hit.
Well, yeah, let's watch it right here. Let's look at Mark here coming right downhill. Okay, here he is right there in the middle. It's squared up. We got the jump. Bloom. Get
a vertical leap.
Well, in fact, it was a very good vertical leap, and you probably would have been better if you didn't jump so high.
That's right. See, Troy would have got underneath his pads a little better and knocked them back, but
Yeah,
I
sure.
tried my best, Troy.
Yeah, well, you could jump higher than I can.
And you know what's so cool? Both you guys, your responses are giving praise to everybody else on the field. Like you're saying, yes, I was involved in that tackle, but there were so many other people. And Troy is wearing his teammate on his shirt right now. And I'm not sure that everybody does this at all the other schools, where we're in a time now where players are entering transfer portals, and it's all about name, image, and likeness, and me. And the Army Navy game is about brotherhood. It's about fellowship. And it's so cool to see these two captains of the defense who squared off in 1988 coming together now and just sharing these precious moments that will live forever. And, I want to turn the microphone back over to Troy here and see, who were your biggest coaching inspirations in your life that really helped you get to this moment when you're in the Sun Bowl, you're the captain? Like, how'd you get to that? And who were your coaching influences?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Harrison. I would say, Coach Young, JY, our head coach, and Jay Robertson, my linebacker coach. And Jay, obviously really close with Coach Robertson, and proud to work with him, as he was a veteran Marine, a Vietnam veteran Marine, and he brought a lot of that coaching influence to the linebacker room. We had a great linebacker room, but he just, I was joking with Will Huff the other day. We were talking that you, no matter how well you were playing, you always felt like you were one practice away from being cut, and it really developed. It helped me develop a lot of persistence, a lot of resilience, that has served me well throughout my career. I never felt like I could miss a practice. Even after I had started 20 straight games, I felt like I could never miss a practice, because we had such a good group in that room that I was afraid I might not start the next game if I did. And so you had to bring it every day, and that helped me. That's helped me in my professional career. And Coach Young had our team motto was pride, poise, team, and those are three words that I've carried forward with me. Just having pride in the way we conduct ourselves as cadets, as well as football players, as teammates. Having that accountability to your teammates, having that poise, talking about the resilience and the persistence that I mentioned before. Being able to react positively to sudden change. Keeping your head in, and then team. Always whatever goals you had, they were always subservient to the team's goals. You do whatever is best for the team, and you sacrifice the individual for the team. And those three things have served me well over the last 30 something years.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to ask you to tell another story here, but I want to now give that question to Mark. And Mark, who were the biggest coaching influences in your life that allowed you to rise to captain of the Naval Academy?
Yeah, so Harrison, Elliot Uzelak, our head coach, my junior and senior year, and also, Bobby Morrison, my linebacker coach, my first 2 years, and then Milan Vuletich, who was very influential, had passed away, my linebacker coach, my junior and senior year, and also Dean Pease as well. Dean went on to he was coaching secondary for us, and then obviously went on to could be defensive coordinator for the Ravens and Titans, and now he's actually defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. But the influence of really belief, and that's really what I like, about your program. It's just such an honor to really be on the call with Troy, for one, and just It's really special, for us to get together. And you talk about, coaches and the influence they had on me. They believed in me, and they really changed the trajectory of my life, of helping me get to a place that I probably couldn't get to on my own. And it was, I think it's very special for coaches. I think it's a very high calling, for them to have. And what you're doing with Soldiers of Sideline is absolutely unbelievable, because it does. The coaches have an opportunity to speak life, into you. And I can't remember every teacher I've had. The good ones I can remember. I can remember every coach that I've had from when I was playing Little League all the way through my senior year at the Naval Academy. And the difference is, those coaches, they pour their lives into you. And like I said, they recognize potential. And at Navy, the big thing was team. Troy mentioned it at the end. It was all about the team. The damn team is what Elliot Coach Uselak used to say to us. And it is. It's not about yourself. And I think all of us we're part of something bigger than ourselves. But for me, it's always about the team.
Great response. And so how has this team concept and the influence of these coaches and the experience you had playing for the Naval Academy, how has this coaching concept stuck with you in your leadership, Mark, in the military and the Navy, and then into business now as you have risen up in Chick-fil-A?
Right. Recognizing that same concept, that having that incredible opportunity to be able to have an influence on someone's life and to really be able to change the trajectory of their life by believing in them and by being able to come alongside them and coach them and be able to, talk to them about character and integrity and hard work and resilience and the things that, like I said, they may not even believe about themselves, but when you come alongside and believe in them, they can get to that level that they could never think about getting to on their own.
That's right. Nothing more satisfying, is there, Mark, than having greater belief in someone than they have in themselves and then seeing them achieve something they never thought possible.
Right.
Well said, guys. We believe that's the whole reason coaches exist, to help people achieve more than anyone ever thought. Like, our job as coaches is to carry people to where they want to go. I think that's really the definition of coach. You think about like a carriage coach or sitting coach on a bus or, the coach class in a plane. Those implements carry people to where they want to go. And we all do that as coaches. And it's so true to hear Troy and Mark talk where, you're so inspired, influenced by your coaches. Yes, we remember teachers, but our coaches have stayed with us. Really, it's really special. And again, I just keep thinking that, the Army Navy game is the epitome of all this. And I'm going to go back to Troy's film here real quick. That was Mark's.
The conversation was so much better.
Yeah. No, wait till you see this. Okay. All right, here we go. Troy, sideline to sideline. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point this out. With you, Troy, are some folks that are very dear to us here at Soldiers of Sidelines, and our director of partnerships is on this field as well with Will Huff, and everybody knows Will Huff. And this equally could, Will, I could have pulled out 6 or 8 clips and made your highlight film out of this game too. It was awesome. And Greg Gadsden is in here as well. So Troy, as you watch this, like, how do you feel watching your brothers, this fellowship from the 80s, now all of us being associated like together later in life through Soldiers of Sidelines?
I'm sure Mark has the same emotional attachment to his teammates. I feel the same way today, 30 something years later, as I did when we were teammates. Some of these guys I might see annually, and some of them it may be 5 or 10 years. But you see them, it's like you've never missed a beat in your brothers, because going through all those practices and 2-a-days in the preseason, and you form that bond, man. You literally, there's blood, sweat, and tears literally that you shared, and it's emotional.
Well said, Troy, because this picture right here on the screen is indicative of that. All your buddies all piled on top of each other, sacrificing everything to make these plays. Like in no other way. Imagine if you could show this type of camaraderie and fellowship with your teams in business by saying, folks, at next team meeting we have, we're all going to jump on each other as hard as we possibly can. And trust me, we're going to be closer for it.
Yeah, HR would not like that these days. Shit.
And that's why football's the greatest. It's the only place you can do that.
Yeah.
Look at this. Boom. Everyone's showing up to the party. There you are, Troy.
There he is.
6 foot 216. Small arrow. Like as Mark would say. Boom. And you guys, it's like the gang tackle, right? Like, I don't know if this was shared in your practices and in how you guys were coached, but the concept of the gang tackle, swarming to the football, right? That was a big word. Yeah. Mark, how was that coached for you? And what does that concept, the concept of gang tackle, swarming, coming together, how does that resonate with you in leadership after football?
Yeah, it's number one, doing your job, and that was one of the things in our game against, Army. I mean, it was, again, tip of the hat, 20-15, one of the greatest Army teams, around, and we got beat. But I remember they got four fourth downs, they converted, but just swarming to the ball. We didn't swarm to the ball as best as we could on those fourth downs. They were able to find a way. But, for us, swarming to the ball is, like I said, doing your job. You're swarming to the ball, but you're also understanding the angles that you're coming from a pursuit angle. And I got, Mike Taylor's on the call with us, I think, and Mike was very inspirational, to me. And I got my co-captain on the call as well, Bert Pangrazio. Shout out, to him, because we'd have to swarm in practice. I remember a lot trying to swarm to try to put a lot of hats on Bert to take him down. But it's helping your brothers out, understanding your job and getting to the football and making that happen. So I think it's a total team effort, especially on defense. We always say too, defense, you can play a perfect game and have 3 breakdowns and give up 21 points. And, that's kind of the difference between offense and defense. And so there's that stipulation there.
I'm biased. I agree. As a defensive player myself, there's just something so special about rallying to the football with your buddies. I don't know, I feel like it's a little more selfless, at the same time. You're just everyone's trying to share in the hunt.
Yeah, and shared celebration is great, Harrison. I don't think there's anything better than, even when you make a big play, they always say the definition of a big play is 11 guys doing their job. And so even like you're showing a lot of clips of, Troy and I making tackles, but like we said earlier, it's about everyone on defense making those plays together.
Yeah. And ironically, of course, I showed the clip where you're making a fantastic solo tackle here.
Head's on the wrong side of the ball, but it's all right. I'll take it.
Well, and what's cool, Mark? Now, no one's even teaching head on the correct side of the ball. Now in football, everyone's like taking the head out of it. And we would say today that that's an excellent tackle. That's like the rugby influence in all of this. Now that's head on the right side of the ball. Yeah. Let's go back to that. Yeah, at some point it's just getting them down. I mean, this Pitt offense was awesome. Look at this. So, hey, all the young kids watching right now, pay attention to the screen here. This is a really cool play. Yeah, this is for you. This is an old school, they called this ISO. and Mark is coming downhill, and you recognize this right away. This is ISO right now. You're firing your weapon, coming down. You have box responsibility, meaning you need to hit this and box it to your teammate, your other linebacker who comes in, and you're able to shed the block, fold back in, and make this tackle. I mean, head to head on Hayward. Oh my gosh.
That was 4th and 1. This was a big play. We didn't get him, but almost.
He tries to go up over the top. Huge.
And I get back up.
There you do.
That's Darren Fullwood, Troy. That's Reggie Fullwood's brother.
Oh yeah.
Reggie, Darren's number 18. His brother played at Army.
Oh, really? Did you know him when you were playing?
Yeah.
Was that like a thing?
Yeah.
So then let me ask you, how'd that feel tackling or going head to head with him with all of this background story?
Oh, no, Darren Fullwood. Yeah, go ahead, Troy.
No, his teammate was he was one of Mark's teammates. His brother played at Army.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they were both DBs he was DB at Navy, and then his brother was, played DB at Army.
So cool. So Troy, we're going to get back to some of your film here. Now these running backs are lightning speed. This is lightning fast. Boom, downhill. I mean, that's
I was catching shoelaces most of the day.
And at the I still think this is a great tackle. Like this kind of tackle is taught now, right? So like when you're closing in space, sometimes you just need to swipe. And what makes a tackle is that the offensive person goes to the ground. So it really doesn't matter. And both you guys are tremendous hitters. I mean, we're seeing some huge midline impacts, but that is a touchdown saving tackle. Because when you break that line, that would have been out the gate. And this was a tight game, right, Troy? I mean, this came down to
Yes, it was. Yeah, I think we lost by a point after Derek Thomas blocked a field goal and an extra point.
Yeah, exactly. He blocked 2 kicks, and here we are. This is the end of the game. Do you remember this part, Troy, where it's like they're about to score, you still have the lead, and you got to keep them out?
Yeah.
And that's a big tackle.
Just a lot of pursuit. Yeah, this is one where we string them out. Greg Gatson ends up taking them down for a big loss.
So I want to go back to that. Yeah. And Greg and Will, and then look, you're actually in this play folding over top, right? So if everyone starts to see here, this is Troy coming over the top. So if Greg, for whatever reason, doesn't make this tackle, I'm confident you're going to make it. And that celebration, that prevented them from getting in the end zone. And then they had to kick, which kept the lead for you at this moment in the game. That was a huge stop. And you look at this celebration. Do you remember how you felt at this moment in the game, Troy?
Yeah, I was tired. I was probably gasping for air. No, we were thrilled we kept them out in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Sun Bowl. You're playing against Alabama in Tempe, Arizona, and I mean that is a huge stand. Do you still reflect like on those feelings sometimes? Ever going to bed being like, man, that was a wonderful time.
Well, my lasting memory of that game was sitting in the locker room after the game. With my shoulder pads off, just sitting there on the stool, just thinking, this is the last time I'm ever going to take these pads off. Last time I get to play football. Well, it was sad, but candidly, there was also some relief too, because as playing football at the academy is such a privilege, but it was a grind too. For guys like Mark and I, it was a constant battle to keep weight on. And, you almost make yourself sick eating as much as you could all the time, just trying to maintain your weight and playing through injuries and you loved it, but at the same time, there was part of it I was going to miss it, part of it I wasn't going to miss.
Mark, how did you feel about your last play with the Naval Academy?
Yeah, very emotional. I remember, one of the things I remember is a lot of just the brotherhood that we have within our own teams, but also across the field as well. With Army, I had some challenges, physically. I had, 2 scopes my senior year and had one, done before Army, and then it got hurt again in the 4th quarter. And, but, came back in, obviously wasn't going to miss the end of that game. And just the brotherhood and the hugs that we shared after the game, and guys coming up to me and appreciating the effort on both sides, and also just the brotherhood collectively, recognizing that that's the last time you'll suit up with those team members, with those brothers that you've been through so much with. To Troy's point, you go through so much adversity. You reflect a lot. You reflect of the goodness though of the game, as well. You'll miss the camaraderie that is so special, during that time. But you're also extremely grateful for all the lessons, that you've learned through the game, and the great relationships and friendships, that you make, that we still have, for today. Just extremely special.
I'm envious of that. I love my college football teammates dearly, and we still get together. But it appears, as a civilian, I am envious of the depth of the bonds that you guys have. Even with each other as adversaries and rivals, right? There's a connection that you have that I'll never have. And then the connections I think you have with your teammates. And Troy, I see it when you're talking to Will, and when you guys get with Gadsden and everything. It's just that bond is super, super tight, beyond anything I've ever seen, honestly. And quite frankly, I'm envious of it.
Yeah. And Harrison, I think that's what you bring on, the point you bring up, and I think you related to to Troy, and they taking Alabama right to the wire the way they did, and just that brotherhood that we have for each other, and the love that we have for each other enables us to compete at that level. With us taking Notre Dame when they were number 1 in the country and won the national championship, we took them pretty close, to the wire that year. My brother's on the call. Got to give a call. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina right now, and the South Carolina fans, they voted the greatest disaster in the history of South Carolina football is when Navy beat them when they were number 2 in the country, getting ready to go to the Orange Bowl to play, for national championship. My brother David, who's on the call, he's nose guard, on that team, and so they still talk about that down here in Columbia, the old Gamecock fans. But it's special, and that's what enables us. On paper, we shouldn't be able to compete with those schools, but the brotherhood, the camaraderie, and the resilience that we share on the field and also bring to the battlefield is what makes it special.
And those are the characteristics that our soldier coaches have and need to continue to preach and coach to our young athletes today. So I see a bunch of these young athletes on the call here right now, and just remember that, like, it's about your team, it's about your brothers, and doing it together is so much cooler than doing it alone. So now another question I have to ask, and I'm curious, you go through this transition as a football player, but like Troy, like you were talking to Derek Thomas about, he's not really transitioning. He's transitioning to the NFL draft and is going to be a top 5 pick, right? And now both of you have to now serve the country. So can you take us back to where your mind was then, as you are now getting ready to serve in the Army and serve in the Navy? And I guess we'll start with you, Troy.
Yeah, so first thing that comes to my mind and with your question is how fortunate I was that I wasn't an offensive lineman because those fat boys have to cut a bunch of weight to graduate. I didn't have that challenge, but it was just I felt so prepared. I remember talking to Colonel Tex Turner, who was he's a head of Department of Military Instruction at West Point when we were there, and asking him for advice. I said, Tex, do you think I should go to Ranger School? He's like, you can go to Ranger School if you want, but you're not going to learn anything there that you didn't learn here at playing Army football for 4 years. I mean, that instills the teamwork and the toughness and the persistence and the resilience in you that a lot of guys go to Ranger School to try and get. So that's what Tex told me. I didn't go to Ranger School. There may probably some Rangers on the Zoom that might dispute some of that, but I felt so well prepared to go out and be part of a team in the Army and to lead soldiers. That's the answer to my answer to your question, Harrison.
That's a great answer. It was almost like, this is what we do. You're born to do this, right? Mark, how'd that feel for you? Because now you're getting ready to, did you go immediately out to sea?
Well, Harrison, immediately I went into coaching. I was a graduate assistant in the Navy. So I got commissioned as an ensign, and then I stuck around and coached for the year. And it was just amazing. It was just a great opportunity to the brotherhood that we have, the mentors, the guys that I looked up to, that I played, Andy Ponciego, Mike Taylor, who's on this call, Vince McBeth, who you had, earlier, Tommy Doman, those guys that would be able to help me along as a player that understood, and then coaching. And that was great. So that's how I started. And then went to Supply Corps school. Yeah. Went out to the Valley Forge, and that was, right when I got out to the ship, we were out for Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So it was interesting. It's actually that like a week after that, that was the Army Navy game, and I had George Chump was the coach at the time, and so I helped with the transition. I got a relationship with Coach Chump, and I asked him to wear the hat, the Valley Forge ball cap on the sidelines. And I think up to that point, I don't know if that was really in vogue, or not, that the coaches would wear like a unit or a ship's ball cap. And so he did, and we're leaving, and the whole crew was all fired. We had the game as we're pulling out of San Diego that morning, and they showed the sidelines with the head coach with that, with the ship's ball cap on, and just the whole ship erupted. It was a pretty cool scene. But then the admiral called the captain of the ship and was wondering why, admiral over at the USS Ranger, and wanted to know why the Ranger ball cap wasn't being worn on the head coach's head. So, hey, no good deed goes unpunished, right? But it did. No, I mean, in football, it was just, you take everything that you learned, just like Troy mentioned, and you're able, in such a blessing and such an honor to be able to lead young sailors, and to have that opportunity to be able to impart your knowledge, and just like I said before about belief and believing in them, and understanding they're being a part of something bigger than themselves, and having that opportunity to wear the cloth of our nation. And I'll say this though too, Ronald Reagan, famously said, he said, some people go through their entire life wondering if they made a difference. He goes, but if the Marines don't have that problem, but it's much more than the Marines. It's everyone that wears the cloth of our nation. And I'll take it a step further. Coaches won't have that problem. Every coach will know that they've made a difference, that their life has made a difference, because it makes a difference in the others that they have the opportunity to coach. Well said.
Wow. Yeah, so important. And as we start to come into the fourth quarter of the hour here, Troy, I want to ask you, if you imagine on the Zoom call right now was the entire Army football team that's getting ready to battle Navy, and you think about your experience, what would you say to them right now in just 2 minutes?
Wow. I'd challenge them. I'd ask them to look around and look at their teammates, and how have they prepared? How are they going to prepare? And how are they going to perform for the Army Navy game? because that is, I'm sure Mark would agree with me. You can have a crap season, but if you win that game, it makes your season. And you remember that game for the rest of your life. And so challenging each other to be the most prepared that you can possibly be to perform at your highest possible level, because this is something that we as teammates, we're going to share this experience for the rest of our lives. And we have an opportunity to dictate what that's going to look like.
Really cool. And here you are, what is this now, 30 years later, sharing this memory, right, for the rest of your life with your teammates on this call right now. So that's how you know you're speaking the truth. And where are you going to watch the game, Troy, on Saturday? Do you have that worked out yet, or still sorting it?
Yeah, there's a group of us down here in Tampa that are going to get together.
Oh,
we decided not to go to New York City this year.
Well, as long as you're together, right? And
that's right.
So Mark, I asked you that same question. You have the entire U.S. Navy football team in front of you. They're getting ready to go play Army in this year's game, and you got 2 minutes to address them. What do you tell them?
It's for the brotherhood. It's, Troy said it, great. It's very, very similar, mindset. This is it. You'll remember this game for the rest of your life. You do, and I do, and it's still, I'll tell you, it's still a tough one, for us. But like I said, it's tough in one aspect, but the other part where it makes it, it makes it either. First, like I said, it was a great Army football team, that we lost to 20-15. But we laid it all on the line though. At the same time, we didn't leave any, we left it all there. We prepared as best as we could. And so I tell the team, continue to believe, have confidence, believe in your teammate next to you, and do your job, but do it to the best of your ability and just leave it all on the field. And I think at the end of the day, regardless if you win or lose, that's what it's all about. And then you're all brothers in arms after that. But, I said, I remember saying it to CBS when they asked a question about the game. And I said, the intensity of this rivalry, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's different. It's special, the sold out crowd and just all the pageantry and everything around it. But, we can play that game in some lot in South Philly, somewhere, just Army and Navy. And that same intensity, would be there because we do have a shared brotherhood because we understand what each other is going through. But for those guys, that 3.5 hours, on Saturday, just let it all on the line. That's what I tell them. And don't leave any excuses. And because when that final whistle blows, you got to live with that for the rest of your life. And you got to understand the performance that you gave on that field. And you don't want to let your brothers down.
So Mark, you keep saying this one word that I think is super powerful. You keep saying believe, right? And you started this, your address to the Navy football team with the word believe. And, words are words, right? You see, right. Believe is a word that's on billboards and, all these teams adopt it. But that word is different when it comes out of your mouth. And it's different when you watch it on the field, because there's the definition of believe. It's like, yeah, sure, I believe. Sure, I believe.
Right.
But I think the feeling, like the actual belief, to believe, is this visceral force that happens right here in your chest. And I think when I watch Troy's highlight film and I watch your highlight film, Mark, the concept of belief is resonating out of every player that's on that field. And I think both teams, when those two forces of like deep belief, and to use the word that Troy used, preparedness, when preparedness and belief meet each other, you see this clash. And every scrum, every pile, I think embodies those two words that only Army, Navy, and Air Force can represent when you go toe to toe. It's really special. I cannot wait to watch this game. So, Mark, last words. What would you say? What would be your departing words for this show, for everyone that's on this call, and anything you want to say to the soldier coaches, soldiers to sidelines?
I just want to say thank you. First of all, Harrison, thanks for the amazing things that you do. I want to thank Troy for sharing the time, with him. Like I said, we're kind of kindred spirits. We both, we're kind of joking about before. I remember calling my dad at my freshman year at the academy and talking to him and saying, "Hey, Dad, I'm eighth string, right now." And you talk about, belief and trying to build and work your way up. And it's just very special. Never underestimate, kind of going to what I said before, as a coach, the impact that you can have on somebody's life. We had it as Army officers and naval officers, and having that opportunity to impact lives. And we talk about, and that as coaches as well. And it's not cliche, it's real. And I did mention that word belief. That's such a powerful word, Harrison. I think, and for us that played at the academies, a lot of us were looked over by the bigger schools, a lot of times. And so we had to have that belief in ourselves, but also that belief in each other. And what coaches, this Soldiers to Silent is such a powerful tool to really, for the next generation. It really is. And how it really molds, young people's lives. And there's so much noise and so many different things that people are being attacked from a character standpoint and culture. And to have, men and women of honor that can coach and set an amazing example for young people that need it, it doesn't get any better than that. And so I salute, what you and Will and the entire organization is doing. It's just an honor to be part of this.
Oh, well, thanks, Mark. I mean, those are unbelievable words, and we share the exact reciprocating sentiment. We are just honored and humbled to have you a part of it, and thank you for being here. And Troy, what would you like to leave us with before we close out the hour?
Well, thanks, Harrison. And just an aside, I think it's appropriate that you have me go second, because Army will be singing second on Saturday. I tell you, the Soldiers to Sidelines organization, there's, and Mark touched on this earlier, folks in the military never have to question whether they made a difference in this world, and coaches never have to ask, never, they can always answer that question if they've made a difference in this world. And when I think of honorable professions, it's such a natural transition for our folks coming out of the military. There are so many skills that they acquire and hone in the military. I think it's a natural transition into coaching and just moving from one honorable profession to another. If I assume maybe most folks on the Zoom are familiar with Soldiers to Sidelines. If you're not, I encourage you to get familiar with Soldiers to Sidelines. If you have the means, help fund Soldiers to Sidelines, because it's going to make an impact in a lot of lives, a lot of young people's lives. And I second what Mark said earlier, as far as he can remember all of his coaches going all the way back to Little League and the impact that they had on their lives. And that's what an organization like Soldiers to Sidelines is able to do, and just make that exponential. And so thank you so much for this forum, for this opportunity to visit with my old friend Mark Harrison. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. And I love your message that we're going out on. And when I hear you talk, both you guys, I hear fellowship and brotherhood, right? And that's what we're creating. We are that as coaches, and you all were that as service members and now veterans. And together we can continue to serve this country and make a huge difference. So thank you so much for your time tonight. I love hearing those stories, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching all that football of both you guys to select those 7 plays of each of you. It was a true honor. And we are going to end tonight on our walkout song, Lunatic Fringe by Red Rider. And yes, I love this song. And I'm sure you all rocked out in preparation for the Army Navy game to this. Good night, everyone.